So yeah, let's get into it. What do we have going on over here? Once again, we are on the aux 2 branch, and there are several new features and functionalities afoot over here being made progress on. First and foremost, we have the traveling vendor, which we got our first look of last week, and there's more coming to light on that traveling vendor throughout this past week of commits. If you missed it, this is a ice cream truck styled mobile shop, and it features three vending machines on it. The idea is that it's going to just kind of randomly spawn and travel around the roads of the map, and then you can kind of wave it down and it'll stop for you, kind of like a vending, or not a vending machine, an ice cream truck. And then you can just go up to it and operate the vending machines. Now, you'll want to not open fire at this truck, as it does have two peacekeeping turrets on the top of it, and they will engage with you without hesitation if you do pop off some shots at the truck. So do be mindful of that. But if you do peacefully walk up, you can see at the vending machines there are a randomized selection of items available: weapons, resources, and tools, and things like that, all available for scrap. Now, if you're looking at this and saying, well, that price doesn't make sense, who would pay that for that? Or, holy cow, I could get that for that. Well, don't get too bogged down in the specifics of what you're seeing right now, as the prices are very likely to change. I think the offerings of the vending machines at the moment are still a work in progress. So none of these kind of prices or offerings are finalized quite yet. Now, one interesting thing that has been worked on the initial stages of, at least this week, is dynamic pricing. And the dynamic pricing on these vending machines is going to be based on demand over the last 24 hours. So if a lot of people are buying one thing, that will raise the price, is the idea of it. And there'll be like a max price that it can get raised, but it looks like if, a couple people purchase, then the price will go up 10%. Now, this dynamic pricing work has been just from a commit standpoint towards the traveling vendor so far, but it is possible that this dynamic pricing could be added to all other NPC vending machines around the map. And I think that would be a cool thing, in fact, if anything, to kind of negate a little bit that whole fertilizer meta going on. But we will see. As it stands right now, it looks like the dynamic pricing is just for the traveling vendor, but we'll have to keep our eyes on things over the next week or two and see if that gets rolled out elsewhere. And over the next week or two, we should see some more finalization on, I think, the offering that the traveling vendor will have, and some more specifics that we'll see as they come to light. Now, there's no confirmed launch date on this traveling vendor, or any of these things for that matter. But given we are mid month and we've got a couple weeks until the July update, I think it is possible several, if not all of these things could make their way in for July. So we'll have to keep you posted on that. If you're not aware, aux 2 is kind of the initial stage of public testing. aux 2 isn't even always available to us as an audience, but at the moment it is. And if we see, or as we see, these things get merged into the normal staging branch, that will greatly up the possibility that they will go live for the July update. So, again, we'll keep you posted, but that's just what we're seeing right now over here on aux 2. Now, also on aux 2, we've got the DPV, which we also got our first look of last week. This is, of course, the diver propulsion vehicle. And this is a single player kind of vehicle to get around the water. And originally, I saw Ski-Doo and I thought it was going to be a jet ski, which would be cool. I'd love to see jet skis in the game. But instead, this is one of those things where you just kind of, as a diver, hold onto it. It runs on low grade fuel, it has a little engine, and it propels you through the water at a pretty good click. Now, you can deploy it just like a boogie board. They basically copied the dynamics of how a boogie board works. So you can have it on your person, and in your inventory. And then when you get to a spot of water, you can kind of deploy it like you would any other deployable onto the water. From there, you fill it with low grade fuel and then you can take off with it. Now, the controls are just like the submarine, in fact. So you have what's the button to go up and down again? I'm totally blanking on
You
that.
got shift and control for like
That's it,
surface and
yeah.
underwater. Yeah.
Yeah, so just like the submarine, shift and control will, you know, put you under, up in the surface and everything. And running off the low grade fuel, you can see this DPV does move you along in the water at a pretty decent click. So that coupled with the diving suit and everything, you can get out to underwater labs or even the new ingress points on the oil rigs faster than ever before and potentially completely unnoticed and not have to spend all the time, manually swimming underwater. This does definitely let you get around the water as an individual a lot quicker than any other ways before. And the pricing, I don't think is finalized. I believe last week it was 75 scrap to actually craft it, and it was a level one workbench. I think that's still the case, but I'm not sure if that's the finalized pricing or if we're going to see some changes to the pricing prior to this going live in the game. Nevertheless, this is another item that looks like it's pretty much ready to go, and I think would be a very likely candidate for a July update release. So, as with all these things, we will keep you posted, but that is the DPV or driver propulsion vehicle. Now, also speaking of vehicles, there's a whole new realm of land based vehicles on their way in, and these are in the form of bikes. Now, these have been worked on for several weeks now and on aux for several weeks, but they've been on aux in a kind of in progress form, and they still of course are a work in progress. But what's cool is this week we actually have seen the textures get added to the motorbikes and the pedal powered bike with a kind of passenger sidecar type of thing. So we can now see these cool new textures. They got kind of a rusty vibe going on, as we're all used to seeing and love seeing. And these motorbikes will run off low grade fuel, as you might have guessed. And there is, with all these bikes, there's basically four variants. There's two pedal powered and two motorbikes, and each variant or each type has a one person and a two-person variant. So there's the motorbike with the sidecar and the single person motorbike. And there is the bicycle, pedal powered bicycle with one person or with a kind of cart where another person can fit. So that is what's going on with the bikes. They are coming together. It looks like similar to this other stuff. It looks like they're pretty much ready to go. I'm still imagining there's going to be a couple tweaks and a couple modifications to things. But if you're wondering how are we going to get these bikes, as it stands now, it looks like they're just spawning randomly around the map on roads and at various monuments. And so I don't think the spawns are finalized yet, but as we get closer to the July update, and especially if these get merged into the normal staging branch, we'll try to get you some numbers on roughly how many are spawning around the map. At the moment, it does seem like the majority of the ones spawning around are pedal powered bikes. I'm not seeing as many motorbike variants, which I guess makes sense because the motorbike would be a more powerful vehicle. So it makes sense it might be a little bit rarer. But we are seeing them just randomly spawn around the map. You pop some low grade fuel into them and you can drive around. Now, one thing we're having an issue with right now on the aux 2 branch is an inability to mount anything. And I think that's just something going on randomly with this build. So unfortunately, I don't think we're able to show you these bikes actually driving around because when we try to mount on them, it's just not letting us. And I can't even sit on my couch for Christ's sake. So, but that's probably just, a temporary issue with this current build of aux 2 as it is a very much work in progress type of branch. And sometimes things work and sometimes things don't. But nevertheless, given all these bikes have textures and the core functionality looks like it's baked in and they're spawning around the map, I think it is a very good chance that we might see these come in for the July update. In other news, what we got going on is new gestures are making their way in. Now, this isn't currently on aux 2, I don't think. Last time I checked, let me check and see if it changed. B, and then you go E. No, yeah, I'm still not seeing it. But basically, what they're doing, if you remember the hack week from a couple weeks ago, there was this whole crude gestures body of work in there. And it looks like those crude gestures are making their way in. Now, what we are seeing is some subtle changes to the gesture wheel. And what they've done here in aux 2, and I don't know if this is finalized, it is still a work in progress, but you can actually, similar to with the hammer, how you can switch from different building skins using E and Q. Well, they're adding that same dynamic into the gesture wheel. So the main gesture wheel when you pull up is all the gestures at the moment that we've had in, but then you can also hit E and go to a new page of gestures. Now at the moment, they're all blocked off for me. I'm not sure if this is on the normal staging branch and not aux 2, as I have seen some videos of people doing these new gestures, but it is all to say it looks like some new gestures are coming in. So you might be able to flick the bird at, a passerby in the near future once the July update comes out. There were a couple gestures. There was most notably the middle finger, the double middle finger, the cranking up middle finger. And then there was a cutthroat one and several other gestures that are a little more, well, on the crude side. But nevertheless, it looks like they are coming in. Not sure if these are going to be a DLC or if they're just going to be part of the default game from the get go, but we will keep you posted as more comes to light on that. In other news, we have more work on the hood and cuffs items. It looks like the main change we're seeing with the hood and cuffs is that mini game to get out of the cuffs has been made longer. I think it's going to be more like 60 seconds now. So the idea is you will get, if you're downed, then you might get a hood and cuffs placed on you, and you'll be able to kind of wiggle out of the cuffs if you have 60 uninterrupted seconds to do so. However, if your captor pushes you or whatever, that will reset that timer. So that's kind of the main dynamic we're seeing when it comes to the hood and cuffs. And of course, if you're hooded up, you can see a little bit out of the bottom, but you also can't open your in game map. And so it's not really going to be easy to tell where you are if you're hooded up, but we will continue to track this one, and this is another one that could potentially go live for the July update. So, we're really, when we look at it, there's a lot of new functionality that could be going live and new features that could be going live in July. The traveling vendor, the DPV, the bikes, the gestures, and the hood and cuffs. Now, on top of that, they're doing some optimizations for wire slacking. So that's the new feature that allows you to hold left shift and scroll your mouse wheel while you're working with the wires and add a little slack to the wires. They're just improving some things with that. They've also added another 25 or 0.25 meters to the seismic sensor range of forgiveness. So it's going to have a little bit more range of forgiveness there when you're dealing with that new seismic sensor. They have fixed helicopters sleeping at the apex of a bounce. I'm not sure exactly what that was, but it kind of ties in, I believe, with the new handbrake that gets automatically added to the helicopters if you dismount on a hill and things like that. We're also seeing more work on the next Hazmat DLC from the looks of it. And it appears like it will be a Frontier based Hazmat. So, probably very much in line with the Frontier DLC and building skin that we've seen go live in the last several months, or I guess that was last year at this point, probably. And with that, it looks like they're working on not only a Frontier based Hazmat suit, but also a Frontier hatchet, maybe a pick as well. And that's similar to what we've seen with the previous Hazmat DLCs. So I imagine some point this summer we will see that Frontier Hazmat DLC go live. They're also doing some more work on server side analytics. and a bunch more work on the Radtown Redux. And if you're not familiar, that's the new type of monument coming in. That's kind of going to be a throwback to Legacy Radtowns. If you ever did play Legacy, there was the small and large rad towns, and they had a certain vibe and feel to them. And it looks like that is, in a way, coming back as a little homage to those days of Legacy as some new monuments around the map. No word on that when those are going to be released. Generally speaking, work on monuments does take several months at least. And this, of course, is not the only monument work we're seeing. We're still seeing some more work the on the redoing of several other monuments and updating of several monuments. We've seen work on that go live already this year with the updates to oil rigs and stuff like that. But we're going to see a new, it looks like a new compound and everything going live at some point in the future, along with these new Radtown Redux. And not sure if this Radtown Redux will just be one Radtown around the map, or if it's going to be more like Oxum's gas station or whatever, where there's a couple that spawn around the map and maybe they'll have some differences to them. So, no visuals, really, no updated visuals on that yet, as it's not merged into any version of staging that we can access, but we'll keep you posted as progression on that continues. They're also doing some improvements to the demo recorder UI. So if you're a content creator and you record demos to get some of that content, it should still or soon should be a little easier and should see some improvements to just that UI and how that's working. And then also they're doing some fixes to tutorial missions missing an icon on the map screen. And that about does it for what's going on in Rust development for this week. Again, most of the work seems to be on aux 2. And to the extent that these things are going to go live in the July update, I imagine we'll be seeing a lot of this get merged into the normal staging branch at some point in the next week or so. And then in other news, just a real quick thing on Charitable Rust, our yearly charity event. I want to announce that we are going to be doing that event on October 12th. That's a Saturday in October. It's the Saturday after Forced Wipe. And this is going to be our ninth, no, this is our 10th year running. And this year we are supporting Direct Relief, which is an organization that helps bring aid to those most in need in conflict zones and elsewhere around the world. They're an amazing organization. We worked with them years ago. And given all the strife and conflict going on in the world this year, it felt like a good match to support them again for our Charitable Rust event. Now, along with that Charitable Rust event, we are going to be doing our skin contest. If you're unfamiliar, we've done this every year where we have skin creators come and submit entries to be these skins that either go for sale on the item store or the Twitch drops for the Twitch campaign for Charitable Rust. And this year it looks like we're going to have 11 total skins. There'll be 4 skins on the item store and then about 7 drops from the looks of it. And we're going to be launching this Twitch drop skin contest a little bit earlier this year just to make sure we have plenty of time to get the best skins we possibly can. So, starting July 1st and running for the entire month, we're going to be having our skin contest. So, if you are a skin creator, do keep an eye out on rustafied.com and Rustafied on X for information on how to enter that. Once again, that's going to be starting July 1st and running for the entire month. And we'll have some great prizes for the people who win and get their skins entered into either the Twitch drops or the item store. And yeah, that about does it for what's going on. Miss D, do we have any questions from the audience?
You? Are you able to rate the new shop?
When we tested that last week, it was not working. It looked like the traveling vendor was invulnerable. We could perhaps toss like 4 or 5 C4 on there this week and see if anything has changed with that. But I did get the sense that they were kind of invulnerable. But let's see if anything changed with that this week.
When am I going to be able to travel to other long servers?
Well, the what you I feel like you're talking about with that is the whole Nexus body of work
Yeah.
and the clan system. And interestingly enough, the Nexus stuff is on the normal staging branch. When you go to the server list, there is actually a new category for Nexuses. And so, similar to how there's the official list and then the community list and then modded list, there's now a Nexus list showing up. And so it looks like maybe Facepunch will be launching the Nexus server to server transfer stuff with the July update potentially. But what has been said by Facepunch, this was now a while ago, but the plan, as far as I had it, was that they were going to just update or run the first Nexus servers as a trial, and then maybe after that, other communities would be able to run their own Nexus servers. But how we originally were thinking it might work, but it's not working like this. Originally, we thought as long as the server shares a wipe time and all the scheduling stuff, then maybe we'd be able to hook up, say, US Long 1 and US Long 2 together, and someone could travel from Long 1 to Long 2. But unfortunately, that doesn't seem like that's how this functionality is going to launch. It looks like the server to server transfer stuff is going to be limited to its own category, and in fact, a new category of servers where there's like the main server and then a couple nodes or nexuses of that one server. So it's all to say, I don't think going from long one to long two via boat with your crew is going to be happening. Instead, it looks more like you're going to have to join a server that's specifically designed for that. And so we'll keep you posted as more continues on that. I haven't heard from Facepunch anything specifically. So, but it is interesting to see that the Nexus category is on the main staging branch right now. And it leads me to believe, hey, maybe we could see that first initial version of Nexus is going live. Once again, probably just running on Facepunch official servers to start. And of course, that system not only allows you to go server to server via boats, and it looks like maybe hot air balloons and other things, but on top of that, it will have the clan system as well with that clan table, and it's kind of like a team UI on crack, where instead of like the team UI is for managing 10 or so people in one server, the clan system is for managing 100 or so people across multiple servers. And it has like a message board and different roles and permissions and everything. So it's just a further built out kind of team UI system for clans. But we'll keep you posted on that because no official launch date has been slated as far as I know yet.
Mm. If someone is cuffed, can they be placed in, get in a vehicle, or can they only be pushed around outside?
That remains to be seen as the functionality is still a work in progress, and mounting of things on the aux 2 branch right now is not working. So we can't really test that. And given it's still all a work in progress, I think it's a little premature to say definitively, yeah, you'll be able to do this or that with the cuffs and the hoods. So I'm hoping over the next week we should see that functionality finalized, and ideally the mounting of items will be fixed as well on aux 2, or better yet, if all this stuff gets merged to normal staging for next week, we hopefully will be able to test some more specifics around that type of functionality next week.
So, we all know there's a lot of offline readers in Rust, right? So I was thinking, what if you could handcuff people that's sleeping and they raid you, and then you wake up in another base because they handcuffed you while you were offline?
That would be interesting, and
Yeah.
it would kind of make sense. I mean, at the moment, it seems like the cuffing is only possible if you're downed in the wounded state. But hey, cuffing sleepers isn't too far of a stretch, so that could be a good idea.
One of the questions here answered, but are roaming shops raidable / what is the loot?
It doesn't look like the traveling vendors are rateable at all. Artemis was just tossing C4 all over those bad boys, and it wasn't really doing much of anything. This, of course, could change. It is still a work in progress, but at the time being, it looks like the traveling vendor is kind of immune to taking damage. That said, if you do shoot them, they will shoot back as they have those two, and they're fresh designs actually for peacekeeping turrets, just for this new ice cream truck looking thing. But they will definitely engage you if you engage them, and they're pretty ruthless. So, as far as prices and what's for sale, it seems like a random selection at the moment. There's three vending machines on the traveling vendor, on each traveling vendor. It looks like there'll probably just be one traveling vendor per map, and it will just travel around the roads, and then you'll be able to kind of flag it down and stop it. But as it stands, that random selection of items for sale and the thing you buy everything with at the moment is scrap. It looks like that's still very much a work in progress and not finalized. And so with that, I think we're going to be seeing some more changes to that. And the other thing they're working on at the moment, and we're not seeing it in effect yet, I don't think, is this whole idea of dynamic pricing, where if a bunch of people are buying one thing, it will raise the price of that thing. And it's going to be tracking the demand of stuff over the last 24 hours and adjusting the prices accordingly. And that's not only an interesting idea or concept for the traveling vendor, but I think would be really an interesting concept for vendors, NPC vendors across the map, because that really could change some of the metas of the game. But once again, it's still very much a work in progress, so nothing is really finalized. What I will say for sure is if you look at the vendor list and what's for sale, and you have like a reaction to like, oh my God, that's too expensive, who would buy that? Or the alternative of, oh my God, I'm going to buy that immediately, it's such a good deal. Well, don't get your hopes up. Take it with a grain of salt, as it likely will change prior to going live. But hopefully we'll see this go live in July. And if that is the case, if that is the game plan, I imagine we'll see some more finalized kind of prices and offerings over the next week or two.
I think someone came in late. What is that armored ice cream truck?
Yeah, it's the new armored ice cream truck. It's actually the traveling vendor, and it is just this vendor that's going to roll around the map. It's going to travel the roads of the map. It looks like there'll be one per map, and you'll be able to go and buy things from it for scrap if you like. And again, nothing's finalized with the prices or the offerings, but it seems to be a randomized offering at the moment.
This is not a question, but Polly want to say, I just want to thank Rustafied admins from the bottom of my heart. Because of you, I am playing this game again. Heart.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that acknowledgement, and much love to you, and thank you for the appreciation and support. It has been, I'll be honest, it's been challenging the past couple weeks. The hacker situation is so fucking bad. I don't know if it's from the Steam sale or EAC was cracking down a bit more, and sometimes a crackdown on that side can cause a burst of activity on the hacker side. Whatever it is, though, the hacker situation is fucking really bad right now. And we have been doing our best to get rid of them as soon as possible. We have actually just recently cranked up some more internal anti cheat stuff to ideally get rid of these people quicker. We had a potential breakthrough with another thing. I'm not going to go into details around it because, as this is a cat and mouse game, I don't want to give information to the hackers to have them then be able to use that information to further evade detection. But it's all to say we might have had a breakthrough which will allow us to get rid of certain categories of miscreants a lot quicker, like as soon as they join. And I have instructed my team to crank up the countermeasures here because, yeah, the amount of fresh accounts coming in and the amount of teams working with these fresh accounts and these clear bullshit accounts is really high right now. And it's pretty much the main thing that I'm doing is just keeping an eye on Discord, keeping an eye on our hacker feeds and our reports, and trying to get rid of these guys as quick as possible. I am happy to announce we've also brought on a couple new server moderators just in the past week or so. And so we should have more exposure and more people active taking care of this stuff. But when it really comes down to it, this is still a pretty bad situation, and I'm really hoping that EAC continues to crack down, and I I hope FacePunch continues to get people dedicated specifically to handling F7s and getting rid of these, clear hacker accounts quicker. I mean, it's crazy if someone created an account 7 hours ago and they come into the game and they're 20-2. I mean, we don't even have to look. I mean, no one starts this game, comes into an official server and is a god without, okay, maybe it's a Smurf account, and in which case, whatever, show us your other accounts and we'll lift it. But it seems crazy that these people aren't already automatically banned, just from the standpoint, just from the simple metrics of account age, combat log, kill to death ratio, alternate IPs. And that's not even accounting for EAC can see hardware IDs and stuff like that. And of course, that can be spoofed. But I mean, it seems like they could be doing such a better job. And it is frustrating to see when they're not. So I'm hoping that they do continue to improve. But in lieu of that, we are doing the best we can by upping our internal systems, upping our internal staff, and and frankly, I'm just as active as I can be on Discord all pretty much all my waking hours when I'm not doing something else. I'm just trying to stay on top of this the best I can to try to stem the tide of this crazy hacker situation. But it is very nice to hear when people, acknowledge us because it's not perfect. There's still room for improvement, to say the very least. But we are doing our best, and it is kind of shitty that the onus falls on the server owners when there is a company hired for 10 years whose literal job is to get rid of hackers, and they're not only not doing that job, but they never have effectively done that job. And yeah, it is frustrating, but again, we're doing our best. So thank you for the kind words.
Yep. Um, can you ride on top of the traveling vendor?
Were you guys able to hop up on there last
Yeah, I
week?
think yeah we were able to boost up in one spot because the it was blocked like most of around.
That's it. Yeah, yeah, you can for sure. Whether that will be the case when it's in full motion, however, it will let you do that without kind of attacking it, not sure. But yeah, for the minute, you can definitely boost up.
And that could be interesting if you're traveling around on top of the traveling vendor and someone shoots at you, and then the traveling vendor starts just unloading at them. Huh, could be an interesting new dynamic, but I imagine the devs will have some, you know, some accounting for that.
Sure, there will be players that's gonna try a bunch of stuff to go around. Anyways, World War said that the devs have said that the vendor vans will be invulnerable in Discord dev chat on release.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that confirmation. There's so much information floating around in this space, and I do track commits. I track certain internal, face punch conversations, and we test on staging and we track Twitter. But sometimes there's stuff said by the devs in the main Rust Discord. And man, with all this stuff with just managing our Discords, I can't keep track of all that shit. So thank you for mentioning that. And that doesn't surprise me. I was thinking these probably will stay invulnerable when they go live, because otherwise people would just raid the crap out of them immediately, and there wouldn't really be traveling vendors now, would there?
Yeah. Do we know if the traveling vendor will play music?
That was definitely requested. I saw Earn on Twitter saying she was really requesting that this plays some
Ice
ice
cream
cream
music.
music,
Yep,
which
Yeah.
yep,
I think
yep.
would make sense. Like, of course. Will it? Maybe. I
I
mean, the
mean, we
sounds
need
for the
it, but
bikes. Yeah, I mean, clearly it's like the game's broken if we don't have that. But
I mean,
um,
it looks like an ice cream vehicle type.
yeah, I mean, what are we doing here, people? If this thing doesn't play music, but that remains to be seen. A lot of the times with a new item, the sounds are one of the last things to come in. Like the bike sounds aren't finalized yet. I don't think so. It's all to say, maybe we'll see that come in the next week or two.
let's do a recap, and if people have questions, to at Misty_, that's me, so we can take them after Bugs is done with the recap.
Sounds like a plan. So, a little recapity cap here. We are midway for development of the month. And with that, we're over here on the Aux 2 branch, showing off some new functionality and features going on. Now, these are still all a work in progress, so take everything with a grain of salt, and it's all subject to change, so to speak. But one of the main things we're seeing is the traveling vendor. This is a new ice cream looking machine, but instead of selling ice cream, it's a truck that has three vending machines on it and is selling weapons and tools and occasionally some boom and other things for scrap. And this traveling vendor, the idea is it will go around the roads of the map. You'll be able to kind of flag it down on the road, stop it, and purchase some things at the vending machines. Again, there's three vending machines on there. You'll want to be mindful of the two peacekeeper turrets that are also on there because if you shoot at the thing or whatever, those turrets will not hesitate to engage you. It looks like this is going to be invulnerable and unraidable, so you're not going to want to try to waste rockets on it. There's nothing to get there. But there will be it looks like semi random and rotating option of or selection of items and everything like that that will be there. The other interesting thing with the traveling vendor and potentially other NPC driven vending machines is this week work on a dynamic pricing model that, based on the demand of the last 24 hours, will either raise or lower the prices of items based on that demand. At the moment, it's only for the traveling vendor, but it's possible we could see that go live for the other vending machines. Nevertheless, we're not sure when this will go live, but it does seem like the functionality and the models and textures and everything is pretty much there. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see this go live for the July update. And
What?
real quick, one sec.
Yeah.
Sorry, people just spamming my Discord. If you're looking for a group and you post like a full page spam ad, like please get lost. Come on, what are you doing here? Anyway, I shouldn't be looking at my Discord while I'm streaming anyway, but my bad on that one. Next on the list, we got diver
I'm working
propulsion
here.
vehicle. Yeah, I'm streaming here. What are we
Oh,
doing, guys? Hey, I'm streaming here. So we got DPV, the diver propulsion vehicle. That's another new vehicle coming in the game. It's over here on Aux 2, and it looks pretty much ready to go. It is deployed like a boogie board. It looks like it's going to cost some metal frags and maybe a tier one workbench to craft. And then you get in your inventory, then you can put it on your hotbar and deploy it into the water, just like a boogie board. You add some low grade fuel to power it up, and then you can mount the thing and zip along in the water or even under the water using controls similar to the submarine. So, control and shift and everything to go up and down. And you can move around in the water with this thing at a pretty good click. So, it's a new way to get around as an individual and maybe go to underwater labs undetected or even oil rig completely undetected as a solo. And yeah, that's the diver propulsion vehicle. Another thing that looks like it may be added for the update in July. Now, speaking of vehicles, we also have the bikes vehicles are on staging and in a better shape than we've seen thus far, as they all have textures as of this week and everything, and look like they're pretty much getting ready to go. And what we have with the bikes is there's two main types. There's pedal powered bikes and there's motorbikes. There's two variants of each. And so there's a single um, what am I trying to say? Why is my brain breaking down here? One person can ride one of the bikes, and two people can ride the other type of bike. So there's a
stop
sidecar
looking
with a
at Discord.
motorbike. I wasn't even looking at Discord right now. My eyes just kind of crossed, and I smell burnt hair. I don't know what's going on. No, I'm kidding. My left arm's tingling. I'm not sure what's up here. But anyway, yeah. So there's four types of bikes, and motor, pedal powered, and one or two person,
I think we're missing
variants.
one.
Yeah,
There
we
is
we are
one, but
missing
we
one.
didn't know the name of it, so we
Yeah,
know
Oh,
what
I
we're
okay.
talking
couldn't
about.
I'll
figure out
find
how to
it.
spawn it in, but
Alright,
you
no
can
worries.
teleport. you can teleport any bike, and pretty quickly you'll go to the pedal powered bike with the kind of like basket on it that someone can sit in. And that's, yeah, that's the fourth one. But for whatever reason, and I'm sure it's
Oh,
spawnable, I
hell yeah.
just didn't see what it what the exact syntax for that was.
Nope, but first time. Here we go.
Yeah, look at that. And yeah, as you can see, these are
Oh,
spawning randomly around the map. They're spawning at monuments and on roads, similar to some other vehicles. And oh shit! And you can
That's
mount
the
that one.
first
So
mountable on this server.
maybe it's the ones that are spawned in that you can.
Yeah,
I'm in Sats, right? Hang on.
yeah. Ox
Yeah,
2 is a little
something's not
broken,
loading here.
as you can.
Yeah, Ox
Yeah,
2 is.
anyway.
I mean, yeah, Ox 2, if you're
It's
not
the
aware,
bike,
is the
guys.
bleeding edge of like testing. And so very often if you're gonna see a bug in the game, you're gonna see the most on Ox 2, and that is definitely the case today. But anyway, those are the bikes. They're coming along. You'll find them randomly around the map and be able to hop on them. And the pedal powered is, well, just powered by yourself, and you can hold shift to sprint for a period of time. And the motorbikes are powered by, well, you would guess, low grade fuel. And yeah, it looks like they're coming along. So maybe we will see them for the update in July. Also, next on the recapity cap, we got some new gestures coming in. It looks like those crude gestures from the hack week a couple weeks ago are probably making their way in. They're not definitively in right now yet on aux 2, but one thing that we are seeing is this shift to the gesture UI, where similar to the hammer radial menu where you can hit E to change the building skin that you're working with this gesture wheel, it looks like you're going to be able to hit E and go to a new page of gestures. I don't know if these are going to be part of a DLC or they'll just be added to the default game and given to everybody. But yeah, it looks like people will soon be able to flick off and double flick off and all that stuff and threaten to cut people's throats. Real high vibe stuff going on with these gestures. So that's cool. Coming on
There's
in.
gonna there's gonna be so many people around the map. Fuck you! No, fuck
Yeah, just,
you! Double
yeah,
fuck!
I don't know what you
just
mean.
on the
No, they
roof, just
won't. Nah.
flipping the bird on the roof all day. So yeah, those are the new gestures, and they seem to be coming along. We'll keep you posted as more comes to light with that. In other news, we've got more work on the hood and cuffs. That's going to be the ability to take prisoners. If someone's in a wounded state, you'll be able to put a hood and cuffs on them and then kind of push them around and stuff. There's some optimizations for wire slacking. There's a little extra forgiveness range on the seismic sensor that's been added. There's some fixes for helicopters sleeping when they shouldn't be sleeping. Damn helicopters sleeping on the job. And then there's more work on a new hazmat DLC, the Frontier Hazmat DLC. It looks like not only will it have a hazmat suit, but maybe some tools like a Frontier hatchet and things like that. There's some more work on server side analytics, which is always nice to see because that can help us optimize servers more. There's a bunch more work on the Radtown Redux, which of course is the upcoming new monuments that are kind of a throwback to those legacy Radtowns. There are some improvements to the demo recorder UI and some fixes to tutorial missions missing icons on the map screen. And that is roughly what we are seeing in Rust development. Again, there's 2 weeks until the update, and all this is on aux 2, so we'll have to keep you posted with what looks to be coming in July update and what might take another month or so. But it looks like, based on what we're seeing, we could see a bunch of new vehicles and functionality come into the game for this July update. And then finally, just to remind everybody, if you are a skin creator, Charitable Rust Skin Contest goes live July 1, and this is where people can create and submit skins to be part of the Twitch drops or the store skins, the proceeds of which go to charity for our charity event in October, October 12th. This year we are supporting Direct Relief, which is an amazing organization that brings aid to people in conflict zones and who need the most help around the world. And we've worked with them before, and it's great to be working with them again. And yeah, so stay tuned on rustafied.com and on Rustafied on X for information on how to participate in that skin contest if you are a skin creator. And yeah, that about does it for the recapity cap. Any final questions, Misty, before we wind this puppy down?
Just like one or two. Is the AK recoil fixed?
Nope. No changes to AK recoil.
And is all this being implemented today?
Well, it's over here on the aux 2 branch, and it looks like a lot of it is coming all along nicely. So I think there's a good chance we could see some, if not all of these things go live in July. But at this moment, nothing is confirmed for what's coming in the July update. So, but I think there's a good chance we could see the bikes, we could see the new gestures, we could see the DPV, and we could see this traveling vendor for sure. I think it's very possible we could see this all go live for the July update. We'll probably have a better sense next week, especially if you track commits and you see the stuff start get merged from aux 2 to the normal staging branch, then that's a very good indicator that that will be going live for the July update. But as always, we'll keep you posted here, same time, same place next week. And of course, on rustified.com, I do an article every Thursday that summarizes everything in text and pictures. And we've been doing some more shorts on X and on YouTube throughout the week to kind of just give you a quick 20-second or so sneak peek of what's going on and what's showing up on the staging branches. So keep an eye out for that as well. And yeah, anything else? Misty dropped for a second. I'm not sure if she's back yet.
Oh, no worries.
Oh, she dropped again. Oh well, we were winding this down anyway. I do want to take a moment to thank everyone for tuning in and thank everyone for the support. A lot of people assume we're developers of the game or we're on the Face Punch payroll, and that in fact is not the case. We are just an independent organization who loves reporting on development news and running the best servers that we can. And we've been doing this over the past 10 years. And the only way we're able to continue doing this week after week, month after month, year after year is through the support of the community. So, to everyone who watches, to people who give bits and subscribe on Twitch, and to our wonderful, beautiful, loyal VIP customers, thank you all so very much for the support. We wouldn't be able to do this without you. And also, as always, thank you to Artemis and Miss D for being my co MCs.
Yep, you're more than welcome.
And yeah, I'm
Miss
not sure
D's
Miss
dropped
D's
out.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bless.
I think that might be a mic
Yeah, she's in
problem, but
chat. There you go. She says you're welcome, Bugs. There you
oh yeah,
go.
lost connection. Yeah, good stuff. Miss D in chat there. But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. We will be back same time, same place next week to give you a rundown. In the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week and a wonderful wipe. This is Bugs signing off.